Welcome to another episode of Lean Business Agility. Today with a slightly different format, but from a great location here in Barcelona. Today I'm partly alone here, but there is another companion with me, which is Sigi Kaltenecker. So I was doing the Enterprise Kanban Coach training with Sigi Kaltenecker here in Barcelona, and after the training we had basically a chat about how it was for us, and well, the camera was on. And the first question I asked Sigi how he's feeling.
Well, I must say I'm tired, so even a bit exhausted because it was energy consuming, quite intense. But I really enjoyed collaborating with the guys, but also with you.
I also feel kind of tired, but it's a positive tired. So I think we spent quite a lot of time working on great stuff. And as you already said before, the group, I think it was challenging, but a cool group, definitely. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was always a pleasure collaborating with you in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we managed to really bring the best out of this broad diversity of people in terms of various background and various experience with Kanban, also when it came to the flight level thing. Yeah. But I think it was well received, and we did quite well also to help people to exchange and collaborate with each other.
Yeah. So the training is called Enterprise Kanban Coach. So there's this word enterprise in it. I also had a conversation with Sigi about what is the enterprise in Enterprise Kanban Coach. When we talk about enterprise, it's also not so much multiplying a method into the organization. That's what we see actually quite often. So when we talk about agility, it's of course teams. We need agile teams, and there's a lot of agile team approaches, and agility on an enterprise level means you multiply it into the organization, and we don't have 2 agile teams but 200. Yes. And I think we didn't do this, and I think that's really the sexy part of the Enterprise Kanban Coach. So it's really about achieving agility on a higher level by coordinating agile teams. So we are spending more effort on agile interactions than agile teams.
Yeah, and I'm really glad, building on that we managed to do that in the classroom as well. So we did a lot of interaction. I think basically coaching to us means practicing. Yes. Because there's so many things you have to do, and I think we also empowered people to do better contracting, to be clear about what their approach actually looks like, and how to communicate that, especially when it comes to the strategy level. You have to deal with senior managers. And there's also something like, okay, we have now not just our nice teams, but we have 15 nice teams or so. Yeah. So that means 150 people. How do we coordinate them? And that also means large group facilitation, right?
Exactly. So far, so good. But what are we actually doing in the training? Well, in the end, it boils down to 6 building blocks. The building blocks of our Enterprise Kanban Coach are: the first building block is from contact to contract.
That means having meaningful conversations and explicitly agree on how to proceed. Second building block, first workshop class.
Exactly. So first workshop is about understanding your environment and defining some kind of architecture, which flight levels, systems you need to build, where in your organization, and what the most important stakeholders are. Building block number 3 is change management.
And that means defining change agents, identifying your stakeholders, and involving those who are actually supposed to design the system and start to inform all the ones who then are supposed to operate the system. Building block number 4, system design workshop.
System design workshop, in the end easy. It's about building the concrete Kanban system. Again, craftsmanship, but you have to deal with large group environments often. Building block number 5 is the kickoff.
Now you have designed your system for 300 people, but the designers were only 25 of them. So what do they have to ensure that everybody is on track and really start to operate effectively? And number 6, finally, the improvement workshop.
So improvement workshop, there's, let's say, a social part and technical part. In the technical part, it's a lot about data. So you need to gather data, analyze the data, and based on what you see, you can drive objective improvements.
Yes. Nevertheless, you have to make sense out of it. One special part of the EKC is that he sees things differently and perhaps can help to do even more in terms of opening up to new options for improvement. And it might include that people provide feedback to each other on a peer level, which is also kind of nice because there is a human side on all these systemic things.
Exactly. Cool, yeah, and that's basically the 6 building blocks. And finally, Sigi and I were also reflecting on how we are doing the training.
Coming back to the masterclass, what I really liked, Klaus, that we did all these building blocks and all the flow, working on real life examples from our experience, but also from the participants' experience, and that was really worthwhile and very interesting to put that together because we had participants from more or less all over the world.
Yes.
They brought their specific interests, insights, but really also their experience, and it was really great.
Yeah, I really like this part of the entire 5 days, because I mean there was one example where we tried to synchronize one site in India with Germany and the United States, and we sponsored another example which is actually out of software development. So there's quite a lot of participants that are not doing software development, so agility is for everybody.
Good point.
So yeah. I think this somehow makes it real. You know, it's not about theory and I have another good slide and we can talk about this model and that model and this model and that method. It's more about, okay, go with the flow. So there's a group, they have interests, they have their experience, and they are experts in the end. So let's bring all the knowledge together and make something great out of it.
And even more so because they practiced a lot. So for sure it was classroom and kind of laboratory, but nevertheless working on these real life examples gave them the opportunity to really try out new things, and we also called it, this is an experiment friendly environment. And we also tried out a lot of new things working in this 5-day format first time, and I really enjoyed how people opened up to this opportunity and what they got out of it, working in smaller groups for sure, and then splitting up. So we had this half groups, and they were working on metrics and data and also on how to facilitate things, came up with some designs. So really a lot that they took away, I guess.
Yeah, and in the end, if I take a look at the Dropbox, there's really a whole lot of tools in there. So I think one thing what we really try to do is to give you real concrete tools in your hand where you can start doing the stuff from tomorrow. And that's basically our Enterprise Kanban Coach.
Yeah, and as you see, the sun is shining on it.
That's good.
See you next time.
Cheers.
Ciao.